Yeah, we're live, 7:14. Tonight we are going to talk about the most recent video that I just put up. It is part one of the Turbo NSX, and it's not only is it a Turbo NSX, well, first of all, an NSX, oh, already cool. A turbo one, obviously, as we illustrated in the video, even cooler. And then a swap Turbo NSX, that's just like the trifecta. And so we'll get to learn more about that in upcoming episodes. I think we have about 7 or 8 of them planned already, because we've been through a lot of stuff to make this thing work. And with Jimmy, excuse me, doing most of the heavy lifting, which is very, very cool also. But as you saw from the video, all of this came about from the photo that I have on the thumbnail, is the photo of my Turbo NSX back in the day, way back when they were kind of affordable. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to afford it. And we ended up putting a turbo on it because, let's face it, while they're cool cars, I mean, I always likened it to a Civic. You just get in and drive it around. It starts up. It runs perfect. Nothing ever happens to it. It works great. It looks really good. It has like Ferrari looks and handles fairly well. And the problem is that the motor that Honda put in it, while a good V6, it's still just a little V6, and it just was not nearly powerful enough, even from back in the day. Other guys had turbo things, and American cars had V8s and stuff. So even though it was fairly light, and the thing that was nice about those is the mid-engine thing actually helped it hook up, so you could get guys off the line that really didn't get their Corvettes and stuff hooked up as well, and this thing would take off the line. So it's pretty good. But even then, it was just, everybody wanted to race it. Everybody in a BMW wanted to race it. Every M series BMW, every Corvette, even Camaros and stuff, and everybody wanted to race it. And then it just was underpowered, basically. So, if you look at that car versus the Ferrari of the era, the Ferrari had another 100 horsepower or about 80 horsepower. So it was actually more like 100, 375 versus 270. So it was, it was a big jump up. So that's what it needed. It needed at least another 100 horsepower. And so the guys from Jimmy and the guys from HP Performance did a turbo kit for that. Now, when they did that way back then, and we saw that in the video where they used the turbo that they ran, they got that car to run 10s at 140-ish miles an hour. So it was making good power. But that turbo was actually a T3 T4 hybrid, so it was a 67 millimeter turbo, but a T3 T4, which is not ideal for a motor of that displacement and power output. A solid T4 obviously is better, and that's what we have on there now. And there were a lot of things. That was a bone stock motor. I think that they did have rain gap in it and head studs. But otherwise, stock cams, no porting, stock intake manifold, stock pistons and rods and everything. And as Jimmy explained, we're good in the low 600 horsepower range at about 16 pounds, running on race gas. And they were tuning it with the AEM, bigger injectors, bigger pump like you would need, and then obviously a clutch, because when you're making that much power, the factory clutch that was designed for 270 horsepower, when you're more than doubling that, is not anywhere near enough. So after a clutch, and then the thing was hooking up. We saw, and if you haven't watched the video, please go watch it. You saw the thing hooking up. There's drag strip runs. There were, in the intro, there are draggy runs. There's a lot of good stuff there. And, they designed the turbo kit, and the thumbnail that I'm showing is kind of the turbo kit from the top. So it's just an air to water intercooler. And part of that also, it had a pump. It has a reservoir. It has a secondary heat exchanger, which was like a transmission cooler. And so it circulate that. And even that was on a switch. So you could turn that on and off. Probably when I had the one on my Sprint, I just had it on whenever the ignition was on, to keep it circulating and keep the temperature of the transfer medium of the water that's in there, at or near ambient. And that actually worked fairly well, because one of the concerns for a lot of guys with air to water systems, especially driving on the street, and the NSX got driven daily. I mean, it was my daily driver, and my wife Lisa drove it a lot and stuff. And once we put the turbo on, it was a lot of fun. But what guys worry about with air to water setups, and they're like, oh no, that water just heats up. Well, no, it doesn't. When you're just driving down the road, the only heat that it's getting is heat from the engine compartment. It's not getting any boost. And so if you're constantly circulating that and it's coming up in front of the radiator, it actually stays really fairly cool, usually at or near ambient, which work really well. So then when you do get on it and you add heat to it from the charge temperature, then you obviously should be ingesting cold air anyway, not just underhood air, because that we know that that's bad. But when you heat that up and then you cycle it through, the air to water stuff I've seen on street applications work well, and just like air to water stuff, air to air and air to water both work well for that application. And I get asked all the time, what would you use? Well, it depends on the application. If I'm running out of the silver state, I'm probably going to go with an air to air, because we have anywhere from 140 to 200 plus miles an hour of vehicle speed, and so you got plenty of cooling. If I'm going to Bonneville, probably going to use an air to water, which we did because we can have ice water. It's a short run, it's a minute and a half, a 10-gallon cell of, and where weight isn't an issue either. A 10-gallon cell full of ice water works very well, very cold, lots of power, get up to top speed. That stuff works well. And a lot of guys do that in drag racing as well. They just have to balance out the trade-off between the safety and the power that they get from that setup versus the weight. Obviously, in drag racing, much more so than at Bonneville, you have to worry about weight. That becomes an issue because weight is the enemy of acceleration. But the NSX work good. And so what we did was Jimmy and the guys put the turbo kit on my NSX, and 450, 460 for street driving on pump gas worked very well. And then a good bit over 500. I think we went to 520 or 530 on my car. And then when they decided, hey, look, we like this, we want more of this. And then when Craig got his car and they put it on there, they went up over a decent bit over 600. And then, as we explained in the story in the video, that when they were going to kind of try to go beyond that TV show, they turned it up even more, and it ended up hurting a head gasket. And then that's where the thing is kind of started, at least going a little bit downhill. But the cool thing is, it's a good story. Jimmy's a great guy. It's been ongoing for a while. So really, we're catching up with these videos on stuff that has already happened. And like I said, there's lots of this car's been driven on road race tracks, been driven at the drag strip, been driven on the street. It's got, we've got video of the thing making launches and making runs at the drag strip, video of the thing running out at the road course that Jimmy's driving out there. And he also has a Coyote Mustang that he runs out there. We got, draggy stuff and lots of data, because we're both, when he was doing this stuff from HP Performance, that's one of the things that we stressed is he's like, look, I like the way that you do that testing and you get lots of data. I'm like, well, you guys have all of that stuff because you have a chassis dyno. So you should have lots and lots of data. You should know what the boost pressure is, you should know what the back pressure is, because it's going to help you do all that stuff. And then having all that data for the NSX, goes a long way towards deciding, what things are working and what things are not working. For instance, when in the video we talk about, he had on the AEM was able to program in a rising boost curve, because they found out that not shifting into fourth and holding third gear and running more RPM was a beneficial deal. But in order to do that and have it still make power past the 8,000 RPM mark, I think they were going to 87 or 8,800. If they want to keep making power out there and have it not fall off, then what you do is just put a rising boost curve in there. And then all of a sudden, just like a centrifugal, it's like, oh, look, I'm still making power artificially. And those are the kind of things that you can learn when you're doing all that testing. So he had lots of drag strip data, lots of chassis dyno data and acceleration stuff. So it's really, really good. My question to you guys, and this will be our poll. Okay, do you guys want to see more of the Project NSX as we quest for 9s after swapping in a J series? And honestly, 9s is the initial one, the initial goal, because it's already on 10s. So obviously the one after that is 9s, but given the amount of power that can be made, you know, that's probably a starting point, I'm guessing. So do you guys want to see more of that? Let me know in the comments. And then I'll go ahead and scroll up and see what guys are doing. Hello, hello, hello. Mike's in the house. Should I get a 456 or a 410 rear gear for 4.8 cam 100 shot? What size tire do you have? You should do the calculations with gearing and tire size and see where those put you in relation to how much RPM you're running with that thing. And you could get a pretty good idea of where you'd be at the end of the quarter mile. And Ricky's got a good question. Is it a quarter or an eighth mile? The Turbo Gen 1 NSX sounds like a lot of fun. The C-Series V6 is a great engine, but the engine lacks mid-range torque. I'd like to see a J-Series V6 swap into an NSX. That's what we did. That's what this is. This is you haven't seen it yet, but that's where this is going. In fact, it's already in driving around, and it has already been to the track and stuff. So it has a J-Series in it. When Richard talks, gearheads listen. Not everybody. Does E85 burn a lot faster than 91 pump? I don't know what you mean by burn faster. You need more of it to make the same amount of power. Still like air to water for drag racing. The extra 10 to 50 horsepower you get is worth the weight trade-off. It is for some guys, yeah. Does air-to-air intercooler work better at real high speeds, 200 mile an hour? Work better than what? It doesn't work better than an air-to-water does. It doesn't work better than an air-to-water with ice in it. What engine was in the S2000? That's an F series. For drag racing, you should ditch the intercooler. Some guys do that on methanol because even though they know you'll get a cooler charge with an intercooler and you will make more power, that's already been proven. That's not a myth about methanol. It does happen, but the gain that you get, and you're already cool with the methanol, the gain that you get a lot of times for a lot of guys doesn't offset the weight, especially on an air to water where you have to carry the extra water and stuff. Let's see. Good news. Don't think the crank was damaged. That's good, Alan. Anybody want to build a 6-wheel Geo Metro with Tesla motors? Lots of high power cars on methanol run, no intercooler. Hopefully hand polishing some bearings. That system has worked for a lot of people. I have to go with you on that, Burns. I myself am a big fan of intercooling. Even if you added the weight, you're adding more than just power. You're also adding safety. I couldn't see the poll until I went to all message under live chat. I'm not in live chat, but I will be in a second. Does an 862 have more compression over the 799? Yes, the chamber is slightly smaller on an 862 compared to a 799. Do all 4-cylinder Hondas have the transmission on the right? No. The S2000 has it behind the engine. Do you run cats before or after the turbo, or should I oversize the car to 4-inch to 3-inch? If you're already putting a turbo on it, why are you putting cats on it? Because if you're putting a turbo on it, it's already not going to be emission certified unless you found some sort of kit that has certification, which I don't know a lot of those. A friend of mine had a black turbo NSX about 20 years ago. He got it to run 11. Not sure if it went in the 10s. Where's our poll? You guys want to see more of the Project NSX as we quest for 9s after swapping in a J series? 91% are saying yes. We'll see how many more of the no's creep in now. Steve, this car was actually black. The Jimmy's and Craig's car is actually black. Fast TV, you're doing a J swap on an NSX. It's probably a lot more common now, and the reason for that is a C series Honda is really expensive. It's like $5,000 or $6,000 versus $500 or $600 for a J series. It just doesn't make sense. The other thing that's cool that I really like, because I remember when the 3.2 NSX motor came out, I'm like, oh, that's cool. It's a stroker version. It's going to have more torque, which is why they did it. But when you get a J series, when you get a J32, it's already 3.2. If you get a J35, it's a 3.5. Or if you get a J37, it's a 3.7 liter. It's already a big motor. And I'm surprised already at how well they rev. And we haven't even done a lot. Like I haven't done the experimentation that I want to do on the engine dyno. Mike, are you listening to me? Mike Davis, Honda. Just get me that bell housing back so that I can get it back to the guys at West Tech. I think making the plate's not going to be hard now that I have a design for what I'm doing with the Sprint, and that it's going to work the same for the J series. But I'm surprised at how well they rev. And like I said, we haven't experimented yet with different cam profiles, different intake manifolds, which I want to do, obviously, ported heads and cams and all that. So it'll be interesting. Global media, I agree with you. I'm all in on all the things going faster. Let's see. Come on, Mike. I know we're supposed to do a J series. You had one that we were going to run. I think you still do have one, though. Doesn't the atomization of methanol lower air intake temps and make it not as necessary for an intercooler? It does, like E85 also does that. But if you have air exiting the turbo at 300 or 400 degrees, which is not unusual for some of these really high boost things, running it through an intercooler is better, and it will make more power. Used to be some YouTube videos of my friend driving it in the Bay Area. He had an NSX business for a while. Cool. I have vids of the install on my channel. Just got the harness for it to make it plug and play. Nice. Fast TV. I'm going to scroll up. Run an AM 506 Infinity instead of the normal Series 2. Cool. We'll have to check it out. So I'll write that down so Jimmy can take a look at it. Fast TV. Hashtag NSX J series. Yeah, I think really all the cool kids are doing J swaps and NSXs. Got a J37. My wife's 08 MDX stock. I know 300 horsepower. They are nice. A 37 even torqueier than the others. Secondary pole. Oh, Larry's just the guy who's never satisfied unless we have a pole. Now he needs two. Secondary pole. Who here would like to see Richard use one of his 1,000 horsepower engines and actually go down the track? It would make for a good series. I don't understand that. The channel is about making power. And I'm not going to put it in the truck. That's for sure. I know people have asked you to do a 5-cylinder. I'd like to do a 5-cylinder Atlas, but I'd like to do a 5-cylinder, a 5-cylinder Atlas after I do the 6-cylinder one. Steve Moore said by lowering the intake temps on a customer's non-intercooled engine by 200 degrees, he could gain his customer another 300 horsepower. That's a lot. Richard, what are some good heads for an old school 454 big block? If you're talking about aftermarket stuff, there's like a jillion good ones out there. AFR has good stuff. Edelbrock has stuff. Dart has stuff. Trickflow has stuff. Take a look at the videos that I have up on where I did a whole bunch of cylinder head tests. Even ported stock ones are good. Have you ever dined at a 415, 416 LS3? Yes. Many, at least 3 many times. Take a look at the LS3 intake test, the big LS3 intake test, the carbureted versions. That's on a 415. Alan, you'll volunteer to put the engine in a car and run it for him? For me? I mean, haven't people run like turbo LS motors already on the or at the track? Like if you run 1,000 horsepower turbo LS motor, don't people know what they do? So I need to put together the L33. I have forged rods and pistons for it. Yeah, they would go fast. 1,000 horsepower's got to be 8s, right? You want to build a 5-cylinder Vigor? I mean, 1,000's got to be 8s. It's. In fact, I'm trying to think. Back in the day, the HP Performance guys had a turbo Mustang, Anthony's turbo Mustang, that went. I think it went 799 with a 9. So it was, but it was a 7 was the thing that it counted, and then all the rest of them were 9s, out to the 15th or 16th decimal place. But it's still a 7, so that's all they cared about. And I'd have to ask Jimmy, but I think that was like 1,000 at the tire or something. Where can I find your schedule for these live events? The live events are every night at 7:00. Like right now. Well, it's 7:30 or 7:37 right now, but 7:00 Pacific Standard Time. They're every night. So just come here. And then I also have usually a random one during the day sometimes. 3,600 pounds, 1,000 horsepower, 8.8 at 152. See? And then if it was a Fox Mustang and it was 3,000 pounds and it was 1,000 at the tire, that's deep 8, right? I'll have to ask Alex what her car is heavy though. Her car is 3,800 pounds or 3,900 pounds, and it's a twin turbo LSX, and it's gone 830s. Did some or all of the Vigors have VTEC? I actually don't know anything about that motor. I don't think I've ever even looked that up. Yeah, HP Performance is a thing from the past. It is. That was way back in the day. I think I might still have one of their turbo kits. So where's Admiral at? Is he here tonight? He's a modular guy. I think I might have one of their modular kits still. What's the story with a lot of Godzilla motor camshaft failing? I don't know. I didn't. That's news to me. That's why I come here, to get good information so I can pretend that I'm hip. I'm in the know. You're putting a turbo LS in an NSX? No, we're putting a turbo J Series Honda in it. Squirrels in the house. They I guess Jimmy could put a turbo LS in there and put a turbo what is it, the LS4 with that automatic trans in there. I don't think that trans would work very well. I think most swap K series. Yeah, that's what we're putting in there. Not a K series, a J series. A K works too, and then Jimmy thought about that. In fact, he has one there that I may use for something else. But I like the J better, and I'll tell you why. Well, in fact, that'll be another discussion for us. Why would I pick a? Maybe I should say that for tomorrow night. We'll talk about that for tomorrow night. J versus K. J versus K series. That'll be tomorrow night's topic. And I'll tell you why I will pick the J over a K. Where are we at? 94%. Actually, we increased the yeses. Nice. I like to see it. Kalabusu Boys has an NSX. He's got a really nasty turbo K series in his that he drag races, right? That car runs 8s, I think. I think Jimmy had to maybe buy and modify the harness for the J. I can get you in touch with my harness builder. He's got it. The car's already running. I mean, the motor's already been in and out and all kinds of stuff. So it's already run at the drag strip, and he's already done tuning on it. And there's some drag strip runs and draggy launches and all that stuff. He's already run it in fact, they wanted to kick him off of the road course because they have a dB limit, and his was too loud. Even as a turbo was too loud. So he kept having to, when he was out there running around with the NSX, he kept having to, I think he only was able to run it to like 5,500 RPM because otherwise it got too loud. And they told him, look, we can't get a ticket for this. So you can't run that if it's going to be too loud. So he had to quiet it down. And I've been through that too. When I ran US touring car in this Del Sol right here, we raced at Laguna Seca, and they have a dB limit at Laguna Seca too. So we had to put an extra muffler and then aim it away basically from the meter so that it wouldn't be too loud. Ryan, the NSX does not have a turbo cam. It actually has a couple of turbo cams. Jimmy's in the house. So if you guys have any questions for Jimmy on the Turbo NSX, he is here. So if you guys want to know anything about it, Anthony's car ran 799 at 177. So I was just talking about his car. Let's see. Jimmy, where'd you go? I was just reading it. What's up, man? So 799 at 177 is a lot. So I'm guessing that's more than 1,000 at the tire. More of anything with a turbo, especially 2.2s. I was talking to Ben from the Car Farm on the 2.2 today, and we were talking about the different size exhaust setups and different catalytic converters and different downpipes and all of that stuff. So it was interesting. And obviously all of that's good with a turbo. Do you have anything coming up for the Dodge Magnum? Yes, I have a Dodge Magnum, and we're going to be doing stuff with it. I was thinking about building a 360 turbo engine that can still run 87. You can run 87 with almost any turbo as long as you stay out of boost. Otherwise, if you're doing that, I would think about low compression probably. $799, 177 old school dyno jet. So it pegged the dyno at 1200 wheel horsepower. Okay. I was talking to a guy that owns a shop in Ogden, Utah. Yeah, that's UT Awesome, right? I've dealt with those guys. He sent out one of his ported manifolds and stuff that we did tests for on Engine Masters. He's saying I can't get 1,000 horsepower out of a turbo LS3 setup on pump gas. You can definitely get it with pump E85. I think that they do it very expensively, but I think probably Morris does that, and so does Nelson. I'm sure that they get 1,000 horsepower out of on pump gas. What year in this NSX is a 91. It's going to need a good fuel system for 87. Yeah, boost in 87. I mean, I've done it. I've run 87 in my supercharged Mustang, which I didn't pay enough attention to what the timing was. But you can do it. Jimmy says he's using an AEM Series 2. Anybody know a cam company that will regrind motorcycle cams? Casey wants to know. Need a pair of Goldwing cams. So I can... Casey, did you talk to the guys at Schneider? They probably can do it. That's why I lowered the compression in the G10 from 9-to-1 to 8-to-1. I'm limiting myself to pump 93 only on the street. That's probably why the 2.2 Dodge stuff, why those guys got away with so much stuff. And they had knock sensors on them and you know, boost limiters and stuff, so to try to keep them kind of safe. I can do 9 psi on 87 with 7.8 to 1 compression. It's no fun. Does it feel pretty laggy? And see, I think I'm certain that that's possible. I'm certain 1,000 horsepower on pump gas on a turbo LS is doable, especially for us on the engine dyno where everything's cold. I'm certain that I could do it, and I'm certain that I could do it if we soften the chambers too. But on a I don't know that I would try to do it on a stock compression LS3 though. Would I lose all my vacuum with a stage 4 cam? Are you talking about a 360 Magnum or something? Stage 4 cam is awful big. Boosted 4.8. So are you doing LS chit chat on Friday? I don't know what you mean. Are we doing something LS specific on Friday, or we do live feeds? Try to do live feeds every night. Let's see. Trying to scroll back PE. Let's see. You're going to try to do 9.5 to 1 on 87 and boost on an iron headed 360. I think that that's not a good idea. My friend says I lose power, low end, fun if I swap from a 454 to a 5.3 LS. You will. A 454 is going to make a lot more low speed power than a 5.3 does. I have videos up on that comparison. if the two of them make the same power, which they really kind of do, if we run a Gen 6 454 with the factory fuel injection on it and run it with headers like we do on the engine dyno and a 5.3, they make fairly similar peak power, but the torque number is dramatically different on the big block. Richard, great video on the truck cams. When do you plan on doing it again since you fixed the cam retaining plate, or is it really necessary? I think it is. I want to redo it, so probably next time I go down. I think the numbers will change much. You do think that they will? You think that the 20 pounds of oil pressure will change the power? So here's the interesting question there, and I only talked about really one direction there because I was talking about it losing oil pressure and then that affecting lifters. I honestly don't think that that's what's happening at all. What I think is the reverse of that is true. What I think is that having more oil pressure hurts power, and having less oil pressure helps power. And so that's what I think is going to happen. So I think the one with the most oil pressure is probably going to benefit, or the others that have lower oil pressure, their power numbers are probably going to go down, is what I suspect. Admiral, what's up? Oh, you meant to say you don't think it'll change much yet. That's also a possibility. Richard, we need a Boss 6.2. I've never even seen one of those. Have you ever built a boosted flathead? I have not. I've never even run a flathead on the dyno. In fact, I don't know. I know Westech has run them. I don't know if I've ever been there when they've run a flathead. Otherwise, I would have shot a video of it. I was told to take my 4.8 liter LR4 and bore it out to a 5.7, which is 3.898. Yep, we go 3.902, 3.905 all the time on those. Keep my factory cranking rods with LS1 pistons. How true is that? That's certainly possible. Or you put forged pistons in it. It doesn't matter. You can put rods and pistons in it. You could keep your, well, although it's kind of hard to find 4.8 rods, but I think now Summit has them. I think that they have Pro LS 4.8 size rods to replace 4.8s. So you can do that, or you could just put the LS1 pistons in it. And if you're feeling real sporty, you'd bore it out 4 inches and then put 6 liter pistons in it. Be interested to see the retest. I agree. I just, we have a variable and I don't want a variable. And then so we have to retest. We are boosted and dynoed motorcycle engines. I have dynoed motorcycles on the chassis dyno, but not on the engine dyno. And we didn't have boost on that because a class that was running at Bonneville was not a boosted class. On Engine Masters, they tested oil pumps on the LS, and the higher oil pressure dropped the horsepower. It does. I expect that to happen. And I saw the same thing when I did the viscosity test of the oil. If we put thicker oil in it and it raised the oil pressure, we lost power, which is exactly what you would expect. Richard, it was a crying shame seeing the titanium rod sticking out the block. It was. And then it was even worse to see the next one was broke too. Not as bad, not with a broken block, but and that's just such an expensive deal. $60 PSI flathead. You know who had a good boosted flathead was before Demon Fire before it was that, or Speed Demon, it was Flatfire. And they used to run that car with I think it was a supercharged flathead, because I think it was Vortec guys were involved in it. And they ran a Vortec on it with a flathead, and they were running a lot of boost. It made good power. My SVO Mustang can run 87 on 7 PSI premium switch and 93 on 17. Cool. It can be done if you take enough timing away and make it not detonate. And what is the static compression on an SVO Mustang? Is it 8-to-1 or 8.5 or something? What is it? Does anybody know? Eight to 1. Okay. I was thinking it had to be fairly low. Thanks for the input. I think I'll just build a 408 Dodge Magnum. That's another answer. Yep. Aluminum heads, 9.5 to 1. Well, if you're getting aluminum heads, then if you get aluminum heads and lower the compression on your turbo thing, that can work too. James, somebody had mentioned the thing about the lifters or the cams on the Godzilla stuff. I haven't seen any of that because I don't really, I don't run in those circles. Fast TV, you're going to do a twin turbo setup on a J series, a J35 block, and the J32 head. Custom pistons would like to be 750 horsepower on 93. That seems like a lot. That's why I went high flow and not high pressure on the oil pump. So so did you do a high volume pump? Because a high volume pump is also going to give you more pressure. Michael, do you think a 417 LS with twin VS Racing 7875s, yada, 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 can make 1,000 horsepower? You can do that with one of those turbos. So two of them are going to get you closer to 2,000 if you ran all of it. Oh, on 10 pounds? Yes. Yeah, 10 pounds, 1.69. Yeah, you don't have to be making very much NA power to make that happen. Yeah, you have to make about 600 NA. Stage 2 twin turbo cam is going to be kind of small, but the E85 will help you. It's not going to do 1,000 at the tire, but it might do 1,000 flywheel, maybe, if it at 10 pounds. I was told I can't bore the 4.8 to 6.0. Yeah, I was just making a joke about it. We're going to try it and see what happens, but it's not recommended. You have to check and see how thick the cylinders are to be able to do that. The jump from 3.780 to 4-inch would detonate the block. It's not going to detonate the block. What it's going to do is just make the cylinder wall thin. Guys have already done it. The guys have already run it. 5.3 and 4.8 blocks have gone to 4 inches already. I don't know how long they last. I don't know how thick they were. I don't know anything about it. I just know the guys have run them. Have you finished testing the Alphabet cams? No, sir, I have not. I thought of trying to convert my Paxton supercharger kit on the C series to fit the J. You have a Paxton made a supercharger kit for the C series, and turbos will. You have way too much drive loss for that supercharger to be playing with it. Turbos would be a lot better. Building an OBS Chevy, want to know if I should go the 454 or a Gen 5. Well, a Gen 5 LT is going to be way more involved of a swap with the factory harness and drive-by-wire and direct injection and all that stuff. Are you okay with doing that? I mean, are you checked out on that? Are you qualified? Because I know I'm not. A big block would be much easier. Todd's in the house. Everybody say hi to Todd. Hunter, what's up? First time catching a live feed. Thanks for the support, man. Hunter tuned. Glad I woke up early. I have a 5.3 that's bored to LS1 that's 6+ years old. No problems. It's a daily 06 Z71. Truck motor. What the truck? Yeah, check and lash all the time, Burns. Them solid cams. Are you running factory 5.3 crank and rods with the LS1 pistons? He was running it on a 4.8, I think, right? Or was his a 5.3? What do you think of bellows type turbo drain? What is that? Isn't a turbo drain just like a I mean, we just use heater hose for it. There's a place in town boring 5.3 blocks to 4.125. I don't think you can go that far on a 5.3 block unless you sleeve it. PE1 is my first live feed. I'll try to catch more. That's what we like to hear. And make sure that you go out and scout around. Maybe bring 600 or 700 of your friends too. Richard, when's your next trip south? It should be coming up for too long. And also, Brian is those guys are sending me out the L83, so we can do that testing as well. I bet a 6.2 Boss will give a Gen 3 6-liter run for its money. So you've run boost on those before, so you know that they will do that. Fast TV, his name's Javier. He's based out of Pensacola, so everybody welcome Javier. Hi, Javier. Stainless steel hardline that can wiggle, but you answer my question. Yeah, just as long as it's a hole in the tube or something that it drains in there. A lot of them, like the 2.2, they have hard lines going to them. Don't bring the lady bots. Yeah. I've got a 94 LT1 that I'm wanting to boost. What boost cam would you recommend? Any cam that you put in there will be a boost cam. The stock one works fine. Any sort of mild performance cam. Jim over at TPIS has lots of them. Probably Comp has them also. I think I've run a couple of those way back in the day. But any of those camshafts, that just pick a camshaft that's going to do the thing that you want it to do in the RPM range that you want to do it in, and then you just add boost to that. Looking forward to the L83. Me too. We need to test all that stuff. So everybody go subscribe to Hunter's channel. How do you convince a Honda kid that he thinks he'll be faster with the big turbo versus a small turbo, and both turbos will make his power goal? Yeah, that's hard. It's like telling him to put the small exhaust tip on there too, right? Bigger one's got to be better. I did a video on different turbos on a K series where we had some that were undersized and that were oversized and stuff, but 99% of people will be much happier with an undersized turbo than they will be with an oversized turbo. Guys that are drag racing that have their two-step set up or a converter or whatever else they need to get the thing launched, those guys are usually okay with it. But a guy that steps on the gas out on the street and has to wait for the thing to come on, nobody likes that. That's why the OEMs do what they do. That's why they have the thing have maximum boost at 1800 RPM, and they usually have falling boost curves, which is upsetting to me. I want the boost curve to go up and just be flat all the way across, or rising would be even better, but that's hard to do. But having it be more responsive is a lot more fun on the street. SRT4, it's a cam on a roller connected to a hydraulic lifter. Okay, yeah, we got it. NSX Type R, yep. Or they did a Zanardi edition too, way back, I thought. I run a 212, 224 in my LT1. That works fine. Yeah, Hunter, I get that all the time. Guys tell me, "Oh yeah, but if you put a 55 millimeter turbo on there, man, it'd make 60 horsepower per pound of boost." I'm like, it's not going to make 60 horsepower per pound of boost on a B series Honda engine. It can't do that. There's not enough NA power for it to do that. They're like, "What do you mean? It flows more?" I'm like, it doesn't. It multiplies what's there, and you can't get them to believe you though. That's okay. PE1 wants to know if there's a Torrington bearing style cam retaining plate available for the Dodge. Why do you want that? Are you trying to get rid of all that friction and get better fuel mileage? I'm subscribed and I'm in the garage installing the twin 5855 VS Racing turbos that I bought from Hunter. See, got customers here already, Hunter. Chords, you like the anticipation followed by the extreme violence. I remember seeing this is goes way back, but I remember seeing the very first big single turbo. I'm pretty sure it was a 2J. Might also have been an RB that, you know, the on the chassis dyno, the run, like this is probably on a dyno jet too. So it was like nothing. And then all of a sudden at the end of the RPM range at about 7,000 or whatever, it went from, I don't know, 200 horsepower to like 800 or 900 horsepower. So it had this two-stroke kind of light switch type of power curve. It was pretty awesome. All right, James, take it easy, man. I got to get going pretty soon here too. Yeah, it was, like I said, it was either a big single 2J or a big single RB. Turbos and wastegates and blow-off valves. Oh my. Oh, sounds like the puppies are up. So today I thought I was going to have to go on sniper patrol because the hawks were back. They've been there a couple of days in a row now. One of them had landed on the back fence, and the dogs were playing like right underneath them. And I walked back there. I'm like, oh no, you and I are throwing hands if you think that you're going to grab one of those dogs. And so today they were coming back, and I'm like, dude, I got a little something for you. This is not going to go good for you. As you can see, it's not even sitting back there anymore. PE1, you don't need a Torrington bearing deal. Look at all the LS stuff. Look at everything that's run a cam retaining plate. Every 5-liter Mustang. I mean, all of these things, they work just fine. Biggest issue I found is that most of the small frame turbos are not able to create the pressure ratio that I need for the power that I'm looking for. Very, very difficult to get 3-to-1 pressure ratio. That's a lot. Yeah. That's the thing. If you're trying to make a 3-to-1 pressure ratio, I'm assuming that you're trying to do something that is going to be near 4 digits. If you're doing that, you need to have a 4-digit turbo. Yeah, Alan, I do. I'm very protective. And they're just little puppies. They're, weeks old, so they're not protecting themselves. Milo's out there. He's on protecting mode, although he I don't think he doesn't follow them around like I want him to, but I do. So we have those hawks. We've seen vultures that are here too, and they've sat up on the thing too. I'll throw hands with those, no problem. Lots of we have possums, raccoons definitely was mess with them because they're little. So all of that stuff, I'm like, okay. They don't know what kind of fire they're walking into. The big red-tailed hawk snatched one of the rabbits. Yeah, rabbits and squirrels, they definitely love those. So now I want to get a ghillie suit. Sit out there on hawk patrol. My dog's a keyboard warrior. He barks out the window but then runs away. Nice. Our puppies they love my wife's phone. They know how to swipe right. So they're like, no, I want to see more dog videos. Yeah, they will. The hawk was definitely he was sitting up there right above him because he was on the fence and they were playing, and obviously they don't know, they don't see. He was deciding whether or not, I'm sure, whether he could grab one of them without the other one jumping in, but I'm sure the other one would have left. If Milo was there, he definitely would have dealt with it, but I'm sure that's what he was thinking. Yeah, that's what we need. We need some sharks. I do need some sharks with freaking laser beams because I can put them in we have a fountain out there and they can swim around in the fountain. I haven't seen any snakes. I did look for some today because I took Milo out up in the hills and we were walking some trails we need to get back in shape. So I went and flipped some tin when I was out there, but I didn't see anything. It's still, it's still a little bit cold. Nothing trying to carry my mastiff. Yeah. Yep. So we're excited about later on when it gets warmer and they get bigger, being able to take them up in the hills. Oh yeah, fast TV owls. We have at our old house before we moved here, we had a family of owls up, oddly enough, up in a palm tree. And we have a spotlight that we could shine up there because we could see when the little ones were up there. They usually had one or two little ones, and then the mom and dad owls would fly around and go grab stuff. But they'll grab cats, they'll grab all kinds of stuff. Yeah, the owls they're big deals. More at night though, and we do take them out at night because sometimes they wake up at like 3 o'clock in the morning and need to be taken out. So we take them out, but we're out there with them with a spotlight and stuff. And again, if an owl wants to dance, I'm ready. I'll go all footloose on them. In an NA engine, better to increase compression ratio with smaller cams, heads, or dome pistons. I don't like dome pistons because I think it interrupts flame travel. So the ideal situation, what race engine builders do is the ideal combination is a flat top or very small dome piston, or maybe even a slight dish piston, but a very small chamber. But sometimes you can't get that. I mean, if we're dealing with an LS, the amount that we can wiggle those things back and forth is not a lot. I just don't like real high dome stuff. But in a big block, we run domes. In a Hemi, you run a gigantic dome. Almost hit an owl. Yeah, I see those. Unfortunately, I don't want to hurt any of those, but we see those when I drive down Highway 5, when I go down to West Tech. We see those that have been hit by a truck or something on the side of the freeway. It's terrible. And they're probably hunting through those fields at night. Todd, I'm glad to hear it, man. We'll get your truck taken care of. My golden retriever's like going after birds. 2-year-old pup got 14 of them. That's a lot. Rex, what's going on? You're building a turbo? Freya, Richard hoping for 240 on 75 horsepower NA. Yeah, that is harder to do. Do you have video of trick flow heads versus ported heads on a 462 valve? I don't know. I haven't run that test. Oh yeah, Casey, I will throw down with Raptors. Model train, that's a good choice. A 6-liter cam, you'd be good. Fun streetcar would be cool. And I might also suggest, if it's a streetcar, take the 317 heads off and just put. You can get the truck heads, the 706 heads or 862 heads from the little 5.3s or 4.8s at the wrecking yard. Put those on, and you'll add compression, and it'll be a lot funner for a streetcar. That would be my suggestion. And it's time to close out our poll. Look at it squeak down to the 88s. Come on, man. Nose on the 12%. You guys. Come on. Let's see. 11.7 is too much for cast iron heads. It's more than I would want to run on a daily driver, obviously. You can run it, but with cast iron heads, you're probably going to have to pull a bunch of compression out of it. And I don't know what, race fuel. So race fuel, you're probably okay. Snow barrel on your 460, is it a 87? So it's still carbureted, right? What manifold do you have on it? What carburetor you have on it? Headers are usually really good for that. And then a small RV cam. I'm going to K-swap the wife's Mini Cooper. That'll be good. Burned hole in number 4 piston. A K-swap, man, especially a turbo K-swap, would be a gigantic upgrade in that thing. 160-pound Great Dane. No, it'd be a really big eagle to take off one of those. I like watching the I watch the eagle videos too. I have to get going for tonight, but I watch the eagle videos where they come down and I've seen them get wolves and foxes and all kinds of stuff because they're big. But I've also seen them. They go by and they get mountain goats. They swoop by and they knock the mountain goats off the mountain, and 50, 100, 200 feet, whatever. It's terrible. And then they just go down and get them. They're like, this is easy. We don't even have to grab them. The wonders of YouTube. It's good stuff. And on that note, it is time to go, but I will be back tomorrow. So you guys know I talked to you guys a little bit about this. I've been doing some day trading. And so right now I'm working on a streak. And so if I can get 10 days straight being positive, then I'm going to fund my account and start doing it for real. So I'm on day 3 right now. So we're hoping for more. So we'll see what happens. And on that note, I will see you guys all tomorrow. And we're ending.